Okay, I'm gonna get comfy for this one. It's hashtag Ask Lauren. I got an interesting question from Sara Martinez on YouTube. So she said, so Lauren, I'm already vegan, and last night I watched Cowspiracy. Yes. I got so sad as I was watching this film because although I am vegan, my family is not vegan. I have given them info on veganism, and I cook vegan meals for my parents and siblings, and they still don't even try to eat less meat. So my question is, how do you have patience to deal with people who are not vegan? I don't want to be mean and pressure them to convert, but we need to make change now. Yes, okay. So this is a tough one, and this is all personal opinion, and this is all personal values and whatnot. So you need to make your own decision on how you want to sort of stand. But my sort of position is that pressuring people and forcing your opinions and beliefs on people isn't the way to make them change. I'm not saying that I never have these discussions with people. Oftentimes, though, I'm not the one that brings it up. I lead by example. So I live my life and I eat the way I eat and I do what I do, and people always want to ask questions. I don't go around, everyone makes that joke like, how do you know if someone's a vegan? They'll fucking tell you. I mean, they will tell you because it's going to come up pretty quickly when you go, I can't eat that, I'm vegan, or I don't eat that, I'm vegan. But I try not to be that pushy, over the top, rah-rah. I call them rah-rah vegans. And whatever, everyone's entitled to be how they want to be. And you know what? I think everyone's necessary, I'm not going to be that kind of vegan, but I think it's necessary to have those kinds of vegans because that's sometimes how shit gets done, but sometimes that's not how shit gets done. Sometimes that makes the situation worse. So I went through this whole struggle when I decided, to take that extra step with my veganism and evolve to another level and try doing activism and get involved in that community. And I did that a couple years ago and I documented it on MTV. And it was really interesting. I just documented my journey, and you can watch it. I'll link to it here, but it's also on my YouTube page. Take a listen to it because there was a lot of fear in me to be like an out of the closet vegan, I call it. Like, I used to be vegan, but I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to get into these discussions with people and I didn't want to fight. And I don't think discussing things needs to turn into a fight, but it's hard because when you think what you're doing is right, it's right for you. It might not be right for everyone. And I know Cowspiracy makes the most strong argument, and it infuriated me as well. I watched Cowspiracy and I finished watching it not only empowered to continue doing what I'm doing and spread the message through Hot for Food and the food that I make, but it got me angry because I was like, how come other people don't get this? Like, if you watch this movie, you would have to change. How could you not change? But not everybody is, no one's willing to make a change. People find making changes very difficult. Your question was, how are you supposed to have patience with people who are not vegan? And the fact of the matter is you need to have patience with everybody on the planet, no matter what their beliefs or their stance is on anything. You can't just go around telling everybody they're wrong all the time. So the fact of the matter is you just have to have patience, and you have to know that by living the way you want to live, that is setting an example for people. And they might not change tomorrow, and they might not change in 5 months, and they might not change in a year, and they might not ever change. It's hard because on one hand you want to influence people and you want them to see the light and you want them to make better choices for themselves, but at the same time it's none of your concern what other people do. It really isn't. So it's hard. I don't think I even have a final answer for this question, but I just try to adopt a peaceful stance when it comes to veganism and trying to influence people. I think that, I obviously do influence people. I talk about it on YouTube and people get influenced and people say, oh, I'm changing because of your Hot for Food recipes and I've decided to make the transition. And that's so amazing. That's all I want. I always say, the world's gonna have to go vegan. And I really do believe that. You're gonna have to. You're not gonna be able to sustain this way of life the way we have consumed animals. So it's inevitable. It's going to take some time. It's already happening, though, at a very quick pace. And movies like Cowspiracy are helping influence people. But at the end of the day, it might be harder with these older generations, people in your family who are just stuck in their ways. And all I can really say is like, just let it go. You gotta let it go. You know, you can influence other people. You can influence your friends who are more open and receptive. You can influence strangers via the internet and like, you know, sharing information. It's also interesting too, because if you've been watching my other vlogs recently, I've been saying how much I've been watching Abraham Hicks and listening to Abraham Hicks. It's how we get so wrapped up in the drama of politics and, you know, our political leaders, and having just had this election recently, the same thing. Like, people get so up in arms and attached to, you know, who's going to run this country and all of these things. And when I listen to Abraham Hicks, the answer is simple. And the answer is just that everything that's happening right now is meant to happen. And the world might be in a crisis, like make or break mode right now, hitting the breaking point, and that's meant to be. And that's meant to be because eventually it's going to, the tipping point's going to happen and things are going to have to change inevitably. And I think, you know, we can take this negative view of the world and say, oh my God, like, you know, so many bad things are happening in this world, and the food system is corrupt, and the government is corrupt, and all of these things, and be so aggro about it. Or we can just sit back and go and trust that the universe is doing what it's supposed to do, that everything's happening the way it's meant to happen, because later on we'll see progress and change, and we'll go, the only way we could get to that progress and change is because of the way we were before. And that's how Abraham Hicks talks about how you should live your own life. And then on a bigger scale, Esther/Abraham talk about it in terms of worldviews and in terms of how people are so attached to political leaders and all of these things, when really it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. It's all happening in the flow and in the way it's supposed to happen. And in seeing the contrast of, you know, or looking at the world from a negative point of view sometimes, is only helping you make a decision for how you want to live. So if you look at the world and you go, this is corrupt and the food system is crazy and all our food is poison and all this stuff, you getting that negative emotion and you getting all discombobulated about it is only actually informing you of the changes you wish to make in your life. If you don't like the way the food system is, then you need to do something about it. And I think everybody at some point is going to get to that point in their decision making. But it might not happen quickly, and it might not happen as quickly as I made that decision or as quickly as you made that decision, but it's eventually going to have to happen. So anyway, it's hard because I think about this all the time, and I think about like, what sort of stance do I want to take and where do I want to stand on these issues. And I don't think it does any use to really get all up in arms about things and start fighting and start trying to change the system in a fighty kind of way. I really don't think that that's productive. I think that you need to think and trust that the way you live your life is the way that the bigger world around you will eventually unfold, because you're leading by example. People always like to quote that Gandhi quote about be the change you wish to see. And it sounds sometimes so simplified and idealized, but really it's kind of true. And I think that that speaks to the same kind of universal energy stuff that Abraham refers to, is that be the change you wish to see. So do what you need to do and trust in your decisions and trust in your choices and trust in the flow of your own life path, and trust that that is a reflection of the bigger picture at some point in time. There's so much traffic outside, it annoys me. I don't know if I really answered your question other than I said to Sarah, let it go. I mean, let it go. You want to keep the peace in your family, you can have some discussions around the dinner table when they come up, but I just think let your family and these people that you're dealing with come to their own conclusions and have their curiosity be piqued because you made this amazing cheeseless mac and cheese. You know, that's what we do. We go to somebody's house and we bring food and we blow their minds with the food, and then they have all these questions about how we made it and oh, you can eat this as a vegan and do this and do that. And I think the conversation needs to be around the food, and that's why I do Hot for Food, and that is why I believe that. Because we need to start with the thing that we're doing to ourselves 3 to 5 times a day. We are feeding ourselves 3 to 5 times a day, and that should be the main topic of all conversation. Because you're putting this stuff into your body. And so that's where I think the conversation needs to start in order for it to be conducted in a you know, peaceful way and in a interesting way. And of course there are the environmental issues and all these other layers of issues and problems. Oh, the other thing that Abraham says is don't focus on the problem. So if you're having a problem, if you're having an issue, stop focusing on it because you're manifesting more of the problem. So if we are people who focus on how no one's vegan and how nobody gets it and I don't understand how anyone could live their life like this and and we focus on that, then we're only going to manifest more of that. Now you might think, Jesus Christ, Lauren, you are a delusional, idealistic person. But you know what? The more that I listen to this stuff, the more it makes sense, and the more I start to feel that it makes sense, and that's only my higher being going, yes, yes, and pushing me closer to that, saying, yes, this is the truth, this is what makes sense. And I think that it's true on a small scale, like my own little life decisions that I make every day, and also on this bigger picture thing, like I keep referring to, you know, the world and the decisions that people around you are going to make in this layer, in this layer, in this layer, in this layer, all the way out to the entire planet. So I think it's like, it's true. Don't focus on that problem. Don't focus on all the people that don't get it, that don't understand that they shouldn't be eating these things or whatever. Don't focus on that. Focus on all the people that are doing good, that are making restaurants and opening restaurants and starting clothing lines and starting food blogs and spreading this word about veganism, and all these great companies, i.e. Hampton Creek, that Bill Gates has invested in and owns. The biggest, richest billionaire on the whole planet owns a vegan food company and is changing the system. Let's focus on that. That is massive. That's gonna snowball into every other industry. And that's inevitable. So let's focus on all the good stuff that's happening, because there has been so much progress in just the last year. And I've been vegan, I'm in my 6th year, and there's been so much change in 6 years. When I started being vegan, there was hardly any restaurants and there was hardly any discussion about veganism. And now I hear it sort of spattered in and around movies and in pop culture, and like it's always almost on top of mind, and it's being talked about so much more. And so that's happening at an alarming pace, and so I'm confident that eventually it will become the mainstream and it will become the norm. So let's hold on to that thought. Okay, that's all I have to say. Hope it didn't sound too crazy. Thank you for your questions, Sarah, and I hope that you can keep the peace in your family and make some small changes with them. But just keep cooking vegan food and follow Hot for Food for all of your vegan recipe needs. Okay, I'll see you guys Monday for Lauren in Real Life. Bye.